Run us through the comparative advantages that you are currently operating on for local airlines now in terms of capacity.
You see, we have a problem, a fundamental problem. Foreign airlines are virtually taking over even the passengers that some of these domestic airlines ought to have taken. The government, willy-nilly, either wittingly or otherwise, are giving so much privilege to foreign airlines to go to virtually every city in Nigeria. The idea in the past was that you come to Lagos, you drop your passengers in Lagos, local airlines airlift these passengers to various cities in Nigeria. That's the thinking, to enable our domestic airlines grow. Unfortunately, you see foreign airlines now in Port Harcourt, in Kano, in Kaduna, in Abuja, in Lagos, in Enugu. How then do you sustain these local airlines? Local airlines that are crying...
Are they flying local routes or international routes?
International routes. Okay?
So
we were talking about
domestic flights.
We were talking about making Lagos a hub. Okay?
Sorry, comrade.
Yes.
Just try and clarify that point a little bit more. When you say foreign airlines go to every city, taking over those routes that local airlines should fly, does that mean that those foreign airlines are now flying domestic routes?
They do international traffic, okay? But the error in the thinking of government or by actions of government was that there ought to have been two designated places where these foreign airlines drop their passengers. It helps the local airlines to grow by picking passengers from there and redistributing them to wherever they are going in the country. But that has been overtaken by whatever reasons known to government.
But the economic benefits... One can easily point out some of the reasons, but you're pushing it to the government side. And I think one of the reasons is the capacity to be able to have the needed access to, say, the jet fuel. Sometimes we have that kind of situation. And passengers being stranded at airports. Does that speak well for the indigenous and local airlines that are operating right now when you're having all these kind of challenges?
Passengers are stranded in airports all over the world, depending on the situation within those airports.
For 5 hours, 6 hours?
Passengers have been stranded for more than 5 hours in some international airports for elemental reasons and so on and so forth. But that's not the issue. The issue, sir, is that it is also the fault of the federal government by not providing facilities for Jet A1. I can tell you, we've spoken to experts. The Port Harcourt refinery can produce Jet A1 for our airlines. And we have told government, meet with the NNPC, sit down with them, let us find a way to do these things our own. Why are we called the giant of Africa if we can't even do anything correctly?
Where is the Jet A1 coming from now?
It's imported. And it is expensive. And when you ask any domestic operator, they will tell you the 95% of their revenue goes into purchasing Jet A1, and nobody is listening to them.
You know, comrade, part of the key reasons we read was that you said if the severance packages of disengaged Nigeria Airways were not paid, and that the union was going to frustrate the takeoff of this flag carrier.
That's correct, sir. So
what's the current situation with that?
You know, we seem to be unsympathetic to the plight of these public servants who have served this great nation meritoriously over the years, and who all of a sudden had to lose their jobs without their fault. The federal government invited certain international finance institutions to look at the problem of the old Nigerian Airways, because it had a very serious problem, not caused by these workers, but by the government. You know, when Nigerian Airways was established in the 50s, it was seen as a social enterprise. Nobody was thinking of profit. Over the years, even when they brought in technical experts from overseas to come and manage them, they saw it as an avenue for people to just fly to any part of the world. People fly Nigerian Airways overseas for weekends and come back. They use it for everything. Who are using them? The government. They will just give you paper, go to Nigerian Airways, you fly free. But when it dawned on government that, oh, this is supposed to be a profit-making venture, it was already too late. And government brought in experts to come and look at the situation. And recommendations were made to government. The worst of those recommendations, liquidation, was what Obasanjo picked. Immediately pronounced that Nigerian Airways was going to be liquidated, the second problem arose. The workers in this company, who are they? Are they public servants or just ordinary people? They went to court. It was the court who pronounced that these individuals are public servants and they are entitled to being paid for services they are rendered.
How much are they being owed?
As at the last time we were talking, after the first tranche of these payments were made, they were owed 78 billion. Okay? Nobody wanted to pay. But we must be...
No, I mean, how much now?
Now, after PICA has evaluated and audited and reduced the thing, it's 45 billion.
Reduced or audited?
Reduced. Because the original indebtedness was put at 78 billion. All these things were evaluated and assessed and done by government. Government accepted they were owing Nigerian Airways workers 78 billion. All of a sudden, a small committee under the acronym of PICA came in and did a re-audit of this same severance benefit and dropped it down to 45 billion. We have no business even with that. We have no grudges with that. Pay this 45 billion to these people. A lot of them are dying every now and then.
But are you aware that the Minister of Finance has said, I think she also spoke to the National Assembly's Committee on Bonds, and she said that the federal government has approved the issuance of promissory notes and bonds to settle its contractual obligations subject to the approval of the National Assembly?
Political statement, sir. The Constitution, it's a political statement.
Minister of Finance.
Yes,
she wouldn't speak. She didn't have authority to
She's a politician. You can't pay severance benefit through promissory note. What's a promissory note? That's also a subject of debate even at the National Assembly as we speak. The law provides that payment of pensions is to come from the consolidated fund of the federal government. So, what are we saying? 1 year after approval was given by the presidency to the Honorable Minister of Finance to pay this fund, they started paying planks. In fact, the first money they had was given out to contractors.
But the minister...
And the next thing they did, sir, the next thing they did was to send a bill to the National Assembly for a review of the Fiscal Responsibility Act and model the whole thing together. Payment to contractors, payment to Nigerian Airways, and the Honorable, a distinguished senator, observed that why would you include the payment of Nigerian Airways severance benefits into this package? And that they are ready to excise those items and send it back to the presidency. A lot of things are happening which should not happen.